Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome live from the Willink studios. My name is Mr. Ballantyne. I am assistant head at the Willink School. I've been here for 8 years, 6 of which I have been working in our dynamic, vibrant and supportive sixth form, an exciting sixth form community. And I very much hope that that you, after seeing what we've got to tell you tonight about how fantastic it is, will consider joining us next year in 2021. It's a really, really important and exciting time of your lives. And I think that we have all the ingredients in which to support you through the next phase of your education. So here's how this evening is going to work. We have a host of people joining us live from across the school and beyond. We're starting off with a presentation. I'm going to introduce some of the team in a second, and then we will have a Life in a Sixth Form student panel where you'll get to meet some of the sixth formers. Following that, a Q&A about sixth form. So if you have any questions, please, within Teams, you'll see top right of your screen, there should be a Q&A link, and you're able to submit any questions you might have about subjects or about sixth form life in general. And finally, now this is where the technology, we hope, is going to work perfectly. We have all of our subject teachers standing by on a tight schedule to answer any questions that you might have about their courses. You'll hopefully have seen on the website we have a range of different videos that introduce the courses, plus a prospectus full of information about what each course contains, how to get onto the course, and how it's structured over its 2 years. So the presentations will finish around about 10 to 7. And then if you look on the website, you'll see a schedule for all of the subject presentations, which will go from 10 to 7 through to about 8:30. You don't have to stay for all of them. What I suggest you do is have a look at that schedule, pick out the 3 or 4 or 5 subjects that you're most interested in, and then tune in then. And again, if you have any questions, please do put them onto the chat. So I am going to hand over to Mr. Fry, the head teacher, who is going to kick off this evening's proceedings. Mr. Fry.
Thank you very much indeed. I hope you can hear me. I've done what I thought that I might not do, which is actually with the mute button, but I've got my special outside broadcast microphone should everything go wrong. So welcome, my name is Mr. Fry, I'm the head teacher of the Willink School. Welcome to this evening's presentation. Thank you for coming along on this very dark and dank evening. Oh, the wonders of modern technology, you didn't have to do that. But let's go through some of the reasons why we think you should choose the Willink School. And one of them actually is because lots of the staff here have their children haven't gone through the sixth form. So whatever, in terms of a reason why, that's a good track record. Myself, I've got 3 sons, all of which recently have gone through the sixth form. One went to Alton College, one went to Godalming College, and one is at the Bowhunt sixth form in Liphook. What that means is I know how important it is to look at a school and to ask lots of questions. So on the slide here, these are some of the reasons, or some of the factors that you should consider for post-16 education. First of all, well, not really first of all, not in any particular order, but you need to know there is a track record of examination success over a number of years. I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. You need to know there's a track record of successful applications to higher education and apprenticeships. In other words, that you reach your potential and can go to the destinations of your choice. You need to know that there is excellent teaching, that the teaching is experienced, that there's a group of teachers, that teaching is shared, that it's sustainable, that it's ongoing and won't change while you're in the sixth form. And there's some wonderful teaching here at the Willink, absolutely first class teaching, very experienced at post-16 A-level teaching. Experienced leadership, I'm talking there really of the sixth form team, and with Mr. Ballantyne, Ms. Schofield and Mr. Leach and the support staff in the sixth form, a wonderful team, very proactive, always looking to improve and develop and make your life in the sixth form very happy and secure and very successful. Then there's the pastoral support in the sixth form, which is again just brilliant, really. And by that I mean support with work, time management, all those skills that you need to be successful. It's about emotional support. It's about support with personal relationships, with family relationships, and so on. There's also the enrichment opportunities in the sixth form to develop you wider than just the subjects yourself. In terms of the support, I didn't mention about I did mention about applications to higher education, but the support that goes with that is absolutely brilliant. I also think there's another reason which isn't there, which is actually to do with social reasons. The community of sixth form students is wonderful. They look after each other. Not just all the social events they would normally do in times non-COVID, but also on a day-to-day basis. You know, if there's ever you want a cup of tea and a piece of toast and you want to talk to someone, this is the sixth form to join. So in the words of Chris Whitty, next slide, please. So what I'd like to talk now is about, and you can see this in the slide that's just appearing now, is about the examination results. Now, examination results is something that you obviously are very interested in because that's the track record bit, bullet point number 2 from the previous slide. This year's results, we can't really talk about too much. They were wonderful, but of course with the COVID and the centre assessed grades, slightly different to the way they were examined in previous years. We've got a 3-year average there for you, so give an idea. And actually this year, this current year 13, we're looking to beat that. We're looking at about 30% A star to A grades, well above national averages, about 60% A star to B, and about 80% A star to C. It does vary from year to year. That's not because the teaching and the support varies from year to year, it's because the students that join our sixth form vary from year to year. And it's also another thing is about the grades required to join sixth form. Some schools will have very high grades to join the sixth form, and therefore their outcome, GCSE grades to join the sixth form, and therefore their outcomes may be over 100%. So you do need to consider a number of factors there. But rest assured, the standards in the sixth form here are really strong, and you can see the destinations our students go to on the 73, 40, 27 information there at the bottom, which is extremely high in those categories indeed. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you. I love this slide. This is a picture taken from a board which is in the foyer of our sixth form, and what it is that students have stuck with Blue Tack in a very creative way all the destinations that students have gone to, and as you can see not only, well, you can't really see where they've gone to, but you can sort of see what they've studied, you know, everything from camels to teddy bears to bottles of milk to Mrs. Thatcher. But on a sensible note, it's A to Z. Anything from, I don't know, accounting, architecture, which we had last year, to, well, I don't think we had anyone doing zoology last year, but we did get down to W with war studies. So it is A to W are the destinations that students go, and they go all around the country and sometimes abroad. So, for example, this year, just as random really, but we had students going to Belfast, we had Queen's Belfast, we had Edinburgh, London, Cardiff, so the 4 nations of the UK. We've had students successful for Oxbridge destinations. We have academic subjects, we have vocational, such as medicine and law and architecture. We have apprenticeships, such as PwC and PepsiCo, and nationwide this year. The most common destination in 2020 was Exeter University. Sometimes varies, not always Exeter, sometimes Reading, sometimes Southampton, whatever it is. But it just gives you a feel for really the range of courses and the range of destinations our students go to. Anyway, enough from me. I hope you enjoy the evening, and I'll pass you now back to our presenter, this evening, Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Ballantyne. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. I'm going to go straight to our head of sixth form, Mrs. Schofield, live on air as we speak.
Hello, it's nice to know so many people are out there. I hope you're going to find this really informative. I'm going to go straight into my presentation. And the first thing I'd like you to know about coming into sixth form is it's a fantastic working environment. We have separate facilities dedicated for sixth form. You will study with people who've chosen to be on all of your courses. Everybody in sixth form has made active choices, wants to be there. They'll be like-minded. It develops a fantastic team spirit in all the subjects. You'll find that you have growing opportunities to become more and more independent. You'll take increasing amounts of responsibility for your learning, your direction. And we've got our own common room, our own study room, and a dedicated team to support you. Next slide, please, sir. Now, you'll have been doing your research, and you'll know that we're one of the smaller sixth forms around. And that's a huge strength. It means we can focus in on each of you. We can get to know you really well. And you'll see this in all sorts of ways. We have our own dedicated tutor team and pastoral team, people who focus on our students. We've got a very, very good teacher to student ratio in nearly all our classes and in our tutor rooms. We have our own UCAS coordinator who will help you to make decisions about which university to go to and help you hone the best possible application to give you the best chance. We have our own careers advisors, so people who don't want to go to university, maybe want to do an apprenticeship or a job, you will also get focused help. We have a personal development programme where you will develop your own skills, your own thoughts about the outside world, become more of the person you're on your way to being. We have a Pathways programme, which is new this year. I'll talk about that briefly in a moment. And every year now we have a wellbeing week where we help students to think about their own emotional well-being, how to bolster themselves against the difficulties we all encounter in life, how to pick themselves up when things are tough. Let's talk about the pathways. Traditionally at the Willink, we've had an academic pathway, and you can see that in the middle. We've admitted students who've achieved 5 grade 5s or more, and then maybe a couple of higher grades for specific subjects. We want to broaden our offering. This year, we're going to introduce the extended pathway. This is for people who get 7 grade 6s or more, and we would expect these students to do an extended project qualification. You can find out more about that in the prospectus, and potentially an AS level. Some of these students we would encourage to study 4 A levels, and we'd be looking at grade 8s in pretty much all GCSEs in order for students to do that. That's at one end of the spectrum. We also want to broaden our offering. We want to make sure that students who get 5 solid 4s have a pathway into our sixth form. So anybody that gets 5 4s or better, and potentially, 1 or 2 subject specific 5s or 6s, you can join the sixth form. We would expect you to do at least 1 vocational qualification, by which I mean a BTEC or diploma or CTEC, and then 2 more subjects. Could be 2 more A levels, could be a combination of vocational qualifications and A level. 3 qualifications altogether. Next slide, please, sir. Now, part of our broadening out to ensure the maximum possible number of our students can stay with us. We are, after all, a comprehensive school. We want you to stay. We've got 4 new courses, which you can see here. So criminology, which a lot of people have asked for in the past, film studies as an A level, business studies, and photography. Now, we hope to run all of these courses, but as with all our other courses, it depends on the numbers. We have to have a reasonable size group to be able to run a course. Now, it's not all about academic study. We want to help you become the best person you can possibly be. And your A levels and vocational qualifications are just part of that. So our personal development programme runs in year 12 every week with your tutors, looking at different aspects of society, looking at how to develop your skills. We have trips, we have talks, even whilst we've been under COVID restrictions. We're still engaged with the Speakers for Schools programme, and we had the Chief Executive of HS2 talking to all of year 12 just last Friday. We have tutor events. There are senior student opportunities. After the Christmas of your year 12, you will have the opportunity to take a little more responsibility for how sixth form runs. And as you go into year 13, you can take full responsibility for an area such as the environment in sixth form, or possibly sports and social. You can still have volunteering opportunities. Some students are volunteering even now. Now, to make sure that everybody has the chance to fulfil their potential in all these areas, every other Wednesday, I beg your pardon, Year 12 have most of the day off timetable, and they go off and make sure they're addressing their volunteering. Maybe they're doing MOOCs, massive online open courses. Maybe they're working on their EPQ. Now, obviously, COVID has dominated the news and many of our lives over the last 6 months. I think it's really important that you know, and that you check whether this is true of other places you're looking at, that we have given fantastic support to all of our students throughout the COVID restrictions. Since the start of September, sixth form has remained fully open every single day for every single student, apart from the odd few who've had to isolate. People who have had to isolate have had full access to all of their lessons and all of their subject material. If we go back further, during the original lockdown, our sixth form, our year 12s at the time, had 6 or 7 hours of lessons per subject per week, and nearly all of those were live with a teacher. And then they had access to additional support such as out of hours, history hub, maths aid and so on. Now, by now, I imagine you're wanting to start applying even as we speak. Just hold on till the end of the evening. But when you have decided to apply, if you're an internal candidate, you'll receive an email. If you're an external candidate, look on the website. And these are the basic stages we go through. So the key things for the short term are submit your option choices by January the 12th. And the priority order you put matters because it affects whether we can run all the courses. And then we will run interviews in January and February so that you find out as quickly as possible whether we can admit you. And I'm sure we can. At the end of the process, GCSE results day, if you don't quite make the grade in something, we will be here to help you. We'll be here to guide you, to help you decide what courses to take, and we'll have our careers advisor here as well. I think that's enough from me. And what I'd like to do now is hand you on to Mr. Leach, who's going to be talking to you with some of our sixth formers. Mr. Leach.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Schofield, and welcome this evening. As Ms. Schofield said, my name is Mr. Leach and I'm Assistant Head of Sixth Form. This is my 5th year involved in Sixth Form, and I honestly, it's the best part of my job. I'm a PE teacher, normally, for those of you that aren't aware, but I love spending time working with the students, sitting down, talking to them, and actually setting up this student panel for this evening has been one of those times that, you know, I love the job, because you get to sit down, work with the students, ask them the questions that have been pitched by other students as well. So we're going to have a little talk through those in a moment. But before we start, I'd like to introduce you to Naomi and Ollie. Naomi and Ollie are the head boy and head girl for sixth form. They're going to introduce themselves. They're going to talk to you a little about themselves. So I will hand over firstly to Ollie. Good evening, Ollie.
Hi, sir. Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's great to have so many of you here today, and yeah, we really hope you find it useful. Yeah, so as Sir said, my name is Ollie and I'm the head boy this year, and I'm currently studying maths, biology and PE, and I'm also in the application process for uni next year to study sports science. Yeah, so I joined the Willink in year 7. And I followed it all the way through. And when it got to being in your shoes about 2 years ago, yeah, the sixth form just seemed like the best choice for me. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with my decision. Obviously, having been at the school since the start, I knew about the layout, I knew about the systems, and I had a great relationship with all of my teachers. And so going into A levels, I could just hit the ground running. I didn't have to waste any time settling in. So yeah, that was a really big benefit for me. As head students, our main priority is just to make sure that everyone in the sixth form has the best time possible. And we do this through working closely with our heads of committees to ensure there's a wide range of activities and events and general support for anyone who wants it or needs it. So yeah, it's a great environment to be in. And yeah, we're always available for questions or queries. So yeah, if you have any, please, I'm sure there'll be a feature at some point to ask away. But yeah, over to Naomi.
Hi everyone, my name's Naomi and I'm the head girl this year at Willink. I'm currently studying history, politics and maths, and I'm looking forward to studying history and politics next year at university. Ollie and I were both elected as head boy and head girl during the lockdown that happened this year, following a process where we both had to submit manifestos and applications, which were viewed by the entirety of the staff and our fellow students. As heads of the school council, we've really wanted to make sure that we create a more integrated environment between the 2 years of sixth form. And I think this year it's been very successful. We hope that you decide to stay on at the sixth form, and hopefully then you can recognise and see some of the changes that Ollie and I have helped contribute to. We've made a short video to try and show you from more of a student's perspective what a day in the life of being at sixth form is really like. So we hope you enjoy it, and like Ollie said, if you've got any more questions, both of us are more than happy to help.
Lovely, thank you very much, and what a great little snippet of video. If you want to have a little watch of that again, it will be available on the website if you want to see my little bonus cameo, a little wave there as well. So we asked our currently year 11s to ask us a few questions, and some frequently asked questions about sixth form or life in the sixth form, which we're going to pitch to our panel today. Today we're on the panel, we've got Ollie and Naomi who are going to answer some questions. We've also got Josh, Dom, we've got Jacob, we've got Mia, and we've got Beth as well. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I'm going to start with a question that all year 11s want to ask, and that is, during the day, what are the rules around leaving school? So we're going to go to Ollie for this one, just very quickly. Ollie, what are the rules around leaving school? What's the difference between, you know, being a sixth former versus being a year 11 at lunchtime?
Yeah, so pre-COVID, in year 12, up to October half term, you can leave in break time and lunchtime to, as we showed in the video, to go to Tesco. That's very popular, or Subway or wherever, just for some food or to get out of school for a bit. And then from then onwards until Learning Review Day, which is, as most of you know, around sort of now, so early December. You can leave in your frees and as well as break time and lunchtime again, to do similar sort of things. But then after Learner Review Day, you can apply for something called home study. So this is 10 allocated periods over the fortnight, where, as it says, you can study from home, and so you don't have to come into school to be registered. And obviously this is very beneficial if you prefer to study from home, less distractions. And this is you have to apply for this and you have to be accepted, but it's a very high acceptance rate. And yeah, this just follows over into year 13 as well. With COVID, we've implemented a flexible study system where you're encouraged to go home whenever possible, just to reduce contact. But hopefully when you're in, that will be back to normal.
Excellent, thank you, Ollie. And I think that's one of the students' top questions, which also for the next one, which I'm going to ask to Naomi, the next one is how do free periods work, or study periods, and what are you expected to do when you're not within a lesson?
So free periods are a time where it's your downtime, so you can do whatever you want to do, whether that's just relax, you can go sit on the sofas, or if you want to go and sort of socialise with other people or walk to Tesco's, you can do whatever you want. But also, if you want, you can also carry on doing some work, get some of the homework out of the way. So yeah, free periods, there's lots of flexibility as to what you want to do. But study periods are slightly different. These are timetabled lessons where you're expected to be doing work. This normally takes place in the sixth form study room, but you can also study elsewhere, whether it's in the library or the rooms adjoining the study room. These are really useful periods because they help you feel as if you're being productive, but you're keeping on top of your work. And it really helps to sort of alleviate the stress that you might have when you go home, because you feel like you've already done a lot of your work.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Naomi. And we should probably say at this point that other supermarkets are available, as Tesco's had quite a few name drops so far already, but that is the closest to us. So in terms of a day-to-day thing, Dom, I'd like to bring you in on this one if you don't mind. How does a typical day look to you, and how many lessons may you have in a day, and how long do they last? Are they like normal Key Stage 4 and 3 lessons?
So, quick introduction. I am taking 3 subjects, drama, maths and PE. With taking 3, this allows me to have about 2 frees a day with 4 lessons, including private study at 11 and then the normal lessons. Lessons still last 50 minutes. As before, nothing changes there from Key Stage 3. Breaking lunch, there is now availability of a common room, which has lovely sofas and the tables as you saw in the video. Personally, I love using the microwave just as a warm meal, as a afternoon snack.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Dom. So generally a couple of frees in a day, which keeps you, gives you a little bit of downtime between lessons, but also gives you time to catch up on some of those homeworks as well. Now, Beth, as a year 12, new to sixth form this year, how does tutor time work? Do you still have tutor time in the mornings? It's a question from year 11s. And is there tutor time for just year 12s or just year 13s?
Yeah, we still have tutors. In the sixth form, the tutors are a mix of year 12s and 13s. And in year 12, you have a tutor period once a week, which is a time where we do a range of activities, including things like talks from companies, most recently HS2, or discussions on different topics, or just generally getting to know your tutor, like your teacher and the other people in your tutor. Every morning we have tutor time, just like you do in year 11, where we do some of the shorter activities. You'll be glad to say the quiz still happens. And after the first week, Mr. Chapman decided watching the news would be a good idea, because we all did terribly in the quiz. So that also happens. And there's always announcements which are given to you in the morning.
Excellent, thank you very much. And I think the quiz is hotly contested across tutor groups as well. I know Mr. Reed is a big fan of the competition in that element as well. So thank you for that, Beth. And Jacob, welcome to this evening. Thank you for joining us. How is it different being a sixth former to younger years? Could you explain that one to us, please?
Yeah, so it's quite different both in and out of the classroom. So in the classrooms, it's much smaller sizes. So you've maybe got between like 10, 15 people in a class, depending on what lessons you take. But it means you can have a much more closer relationship with your teacher and your classmates. So you can have kind of whole class discussions, and you can also get better feedback from your teacher to better your work. And then also you've got much more independence, so you can go out to Tesco's or the other supermarkets and get food if you need to, and then you also have more control of your time during your frees.
Lovely, thank you. I think that's one of the key things as well. It's an element of controlling the amount of time that you have and what time you have. up to you in terms of what you do with it. So I think that's really key. And if obviously that doesn't always, not everyone is able to manage their time effectively as others. So there's lots of support. And Josh, I'd like to bring you in for this one, please. Who can you explain to us who you can talk to and who is around in sixth form for the support?
Of course I can. Thank you very much, sir. So the first option really to you is the best option, I think, as your tutor. You see them every morning, you know them pretty well. They're there really for any general concerns you may have, as well as organisational issues, pastoral issues. There's also Miss Downey and Miss Lake, who are wonderful, great help. They're really there for any mental issues, worries, because it can be quite stressful, the life of sixth form. So they're really there to help ease it and guide you, which is so helpful. There's also Miss Desai. So she's really there to help for future careers, plans, any aspirations you have, and really help to guide you to achieve your goals.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that one, Josh. Mia, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us as well. A Year 11 has asked, how did you go about choosing your courses, and what courses, how did you decide what courses suit you best?
Thanks, sir. So it can be a really overwhelming process, but I would definitely start with looking at the prospectus, because that gives you a nice overview and just an idea for what each subject is about. I picked PE, English literature and psychology, and I particularly found this helpful for psychology as I never really done it before, never had much experience. So this was really good. Also, don't be afraid to talk to teachers of those subjects, and also people in the year above that are taking them, because they give a really different overview and a bit of a different insight into it. But most importantly, think about maybe what you want to do for the future, but I would say think about something that you found easier in the past if you don't know what you want to do in the future, or definitely something you enjoy, because you're going to be doing it for 2 years. So yeah.
Lovely. That is absolutely right. And I think that's a key thing. You've got to make sure you enjoy the subject, otherwise you are not going to want to engage. Now, one thing that Miss Schofield touched on with regards to trips and excursions that we run, Josh is going to just outline a little bit more about what trips are available to us in sixth form.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So the school offer a wide range of both domestic and international trips. Some big domestic ones I know of is firstly the geography trip to Wales. If you're a geography student, you go to Swansea. That's really high feedback from a lot of geography students I know. There's also the Safe Drive Stay Alive, which I attended last year, which is staged at the Hexagon. This is really useful. It really highlights the issues and safeties with driving. I found this particularly useful because I started driving this year, so it really kind of opened my eyes to the dangers of the activity I'm doing. There's also a lot of international trips. So I was supposed to go to Moldova, unfortunately, which was cancelled due to COVID-19, but I think we're planning to do that next year. You go to a Link school, you help out teaching, playing activities. It's really a great one-in-a-lifetime experience. There's also the World Challenge. So this last year was offered a trip to Thailand, Laos and Cambodia. I also have quite a few friends who did this. They found it really amazing, the experiences they had with the other students there.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Josh. And that is true that, each year on year there are different courses. We've run trips to China and to New York in the past, so the opportunities do come open for those as well. Now, one question that was asked quite a lot, and I'm going to ask this one to Jacob as a Year 12 student. How much homework do you get? How much homework do you get as a sixth form student?
You get quite a bit of homework, but I think it's manageable as long as you use your frees wisely, and then you don't pile it up at home. But on top of that, you're expected to do independent work, which you have to do around 4 hours per subject per week. And you basically, if you use your private studies and your frees, it doesn't pile up too much at home, but it's definitely manageable. But it's quite a lot if you were to just not do any in school. And then the sort of homework you get kind of varies on what subjects you do. So I do 3 essay subjects, English, history and politics. So I get quite a lot of essays, but if you were to do maths or biology, for example, you'd get some more tests type things.
Lovely, thank you. I think that's one thing that lots of students want to know more about in terms of how much course content and how much work is set for them. So I think it's important to understand that if you use your time wisely, as Jacob says there, then actually it's more than manageable. Ollie, can I come back to you on this one, please, as our head boy? Naomi talked a little bit about integration between years 12 and 13. How are there any social events, and how do year 12 and 13 mix?
Yeah, no worries. So I think the first thing to note is that this is the first time throughout your time at school that you'll be in vertical tutoring. So what that means is that whereas previously you would have had your tutor of just your year 10s, for example, now you've got a mixture of year 12s and 13s. And so this is just a great small little environment, a smaller group of people that you can get to know on a closer level. Just so you can talk to different people, maybe a bit more personally about things going on. But outside of this, you've having been obviously in year 12 and 13, it's fair to say that it's a much nicer environment when the 2 years are cohesive. And so that's definitely what everyone strives for. As I mentioned earlier about the heads of committees, we really do try and organise as many events as possible, whether that be sporting or social events or anything in between, really, just to bring the 2 year groups together and have a good time while we're studying as well.
Lovely, thank you. I think it's really important to make sure that there's integration between these year groups. You spend 2 years, you spend a year with the 2 year groups, and a new year group come in, and it's making them feel welcome as well. Beth, very quickly on, we're running out of time. We've got a few questions left to get through. So are you happy with your choice to stay at the Willink? Is that the right decision, do you feel, for you?
I definitely am happy with my choice to stay at the Willink. First of all, because I already knew the subject teachers and they already knew me, so we could hit the ground running with getting off with studying and starting the course because they knew what worked best for me. Secondly, I'd heard from other students in the years above me that it was a good place to study, good environment, with a really friendly place, and that's 100% true. It definitely is. And lastly, for me, I can be at sixth form and still have been in bed half an hour before, which is much better than the other option, which is getting the bus at 7:30 in the morning.
Thank you for your honesty, Beth. That is much appreciated. Can I come to Naomi very quickly in terms of talking about course choices? Lots of students wonder how many courses can you choose, and what's the minimum that you can study, or the maximum you can study as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So the maximum number of courses you can study is 4, and the minimum is 3. But there are several different types of courses. We do A-levels, and we also do other vocational courses. The prospectus is a really great place to start. It gives you a nice overview of what each subject will be like if you decide to do it. And also, I guarantee that all the subject teachers and any students that take it will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have if you can't find your answers there. Another option which you can do is the EPQ, which I think Miss Schofield spoke earlier about, which is an extended project qualification. This is something you can do alongside your courses, and it's usually a year long of an independent project. I decided to do this in year 12 on whether people are born evil. So as you can see, you really are given a lot of freedom over what you want to do it on. It's a really good way of sort of strengthening your applications for what you want to do after year 13. And it's also a really nice contrast to the courses that you already study.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Good little overview for the subjects there. Mia, I'm really sorry I'm going to have to miss your question out. I know you just sat there eagerly waiting, but I'm going to go to Dom for the last question for this evening of the student panel. What sort of help and support is available for you after A-levels in terms of where you can go next, in terms of UCAS or applications to apprenticeships, etc.? Could you just outline that for us, please?
So yes, as Josh touched upon earlier, you have Mrs. Lake and Mrs. Downey, who are more than happy to have a one-on-one session with you to talk about your personal statement as well as uni applications, but as well as apprenticeships and things like that. What I think is brilliant is the class chart opportunities, which are for open evenings, for accounting, finance, for medicine, which I attended an accounting one last night for PwC and EY, which I found very useful. You also have Mrs. Dorsey, I think that's how you pronounce her name, for apprenticeship, who helps with apprenticeships and stuff like that. It is honestly a great support from the sixth form.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Dom. Again, sorry, Mia. You can punish me tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time this evening, sixth formers. It's really great insight into how sixth form is actually for sixth form students. So we really do appreciate your time. Any questions that any year 11s may have, please find sixth formers. They are in different uniform, but they are approachable. You can speak to them, you can talk to them, and they will happily answer your questions. So please do ask. So I'll pass back over to Mr. Ballantyne now, and thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Leach, thank you very much, and most importantly, sixth formers, thank you so much. Every year, this is one of my favourite nights of the year when we do the open evening. There's a real buzz about the place, and a member of staff who left us this year said, you make sure the sixth formers are there because they will sell the sixth form, and they absolutely have sold it this year. I think you've done a brilliant job, so thank you very much, all of you, for taking part in that. You were really honest, and I think you got out of that what sixth form's all about. And actually, although we're running over time a little bit because we need to start the subjects at 6:50, quite a lot of the questions that were going to be asked have been asked and answered by you guys, so thank you. We have had some questions that have come through. How many people are there in year 12 and 13? So how big is the sixth form? We are currently 182. Mrs. Schofield, correct me, is it 89 and 73? 89 in year 13 and 73 in year 12, I believe. Does that sound about right?
I think it's 18, yes, 89 in year 12, 90 something, 170 or 91 in year 13, but nice, good size. Lovely size.
Question, how easy is it to change courses? Mrs. Schofield, do you want to take this question? Are you coming?
Absolutely. So generally speaking, if in the early weeks of study you think, I wish I hadn't chosen this subject, talking to my friend about that subject, that's really the one for me. As long as in the first few weeks of the course, it's relatively easy to change. Obviously, the further we get through the course, then the more difficult that becomes. Nobody would expect to change at the end of year 12. So don't be too worried about it. Students who are on the academic or the extended pathway, we would encourage you to start with 4 subjects anyway, so you have some flexibility and you can get more experience of the different courses, and then potentially drop one sometime in November or December. But yeah, don't worry too much. If you realise early on that perhaps either you've changed or it wasn't the thing you thought it was, we can support you as long as it's not too late in the course.
Thanks, Mrs. Schofield. Another question that's come through this evening, how many students are there typically on a course and how many are needed for a course to be run? So all of our sixth form classes are a lot smaller than you're used to at Key Stage 4. Typically the largest one that we would have would be a subject like maths or history, which has around about 20, 22 would be the largest size. Most classes are around about 10. And then there are some classes that are smaller than that. So languages, for example, may have around about 3 students in it. And the other question of that is how many students are needed for a course to run. I think this is why it's so important for you to put down the order of your preferences in your application, which is your first, second, third and fourth choice. We try as best we can to make all of the courses run. I don't think last year we had any that didn't, but it all depends on the numbers that apply. So we will discuss that with you in January when you have an interview. Had a question here for you, Mr. Leach. How, if I'm new to the sixth form and don't go to the Willink school, how do you help external students to feel welcome at the Willink, and how many do we have?
Well, we're obviously always welcome to external students. We will always pair you up with someone of similar subjects, so you will be able to find your way around. We also run an induction towards the end of June. Normally, in normal years, non-COVID years, we run inductions at the end of June, July. So that gives you an opportunity to come into the school to familiarise yourself as well. And you'll also have a chance to meet your tutor, which will allow you to get familiar with a member of staff. That allows you to start to make you feel more comfortable in the school, which is what we want you to feel. Currently we have a handful of students in year 12, from external schools, and in year 13 there's about 6 or 7. So across the school we get a small selection of externals from various other schools in our local area. We always like to try and make them feel as welcome as possible. So please, if you are interested, please do make an application. We will go out of our way to ensure that you feel comfortable in the Willink.
Thanks, Mr. Leach. I've got a question here. Does it matter which subject combinations I choose? Am I allowed to take French with maths and with art? I think this is a question. I think this is 2 parts to this question. This is perhaps about the option blocks that we have, and also about thinking about what you might want to do at the end of sixth form. Mrs. Schofield, are you happy to answer that about the option blocks?
Absolutely. So what we do is, unlike a lot of other schools, we collect in your preferences first, and then we do some modelling to try and maximise the number of students who can get their first 3 or their first 4 subjects as subjects to study. We don't want to limit you by saying up front you can't study, for example, art and German or something. So we want you to put down what you want, and then we will do our best, our absolute best, to get everybody onto the courses they want to do. And in the event that we can't run some combinations together, we'll let you know in March, so you have time to look at other courses and perhaps alter one of your subjects.
Thank you. Following on from that, this is a really, really good question. I'm not sure about my subjects. How will I know which ones to choose? This is the most important decision to make. If you get this right, you're almost on your way to succeeding in the sixth form. It's a question of there are some subject combinations that you have to do if you have a career in mind. For example, if you want to be a doctor, you have to take chemistry, you have to take biology. If you want to be an architect, you have to take maths. If you want to be an engineer, you have to take physics, you have to take maths. So there are some careers where you really, really do have to choose carefully. For others, if you have an idea about what you want to do at university, it's worth, even at this stage, going onto the university subject pages and having a look and see what they ask for. Generally, if it's not a specialist course, they will ask for any combination of A levels. So what's important is doing subjects that you really love or you think that you will be interested in. And some of the subjects will be new at A level, and so you might not know much about them. So we've got the prospectus. You can come and ask the subject teachers as well, but it is very, very important. Do you want to say a little bit about summer work, Mr. Leach? Because I think that's also an important way, an induction is an important way for people to help decide which subjects that they want to do.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, with regards to the external candidates, we run an induction at the end of the year, and this is for all of the sixth form applicants, anyone that's successful in terms of getting a conditional offer into sixth form. And the summer work is set by the subjects. It's usually a fair few, maybe 5 or 6 hours worth of work that you do over the full length of the summer, and it's submitted in September. But it gives you a real flavour of the subjects. It helps you to understand a little bit more about the content that's going to be delivered, the type of exam questions that come with it, and also the kind of the overall how that course will run. That will give you a clear insight as to whether you think, oh, I like this subject, or maybe this subject isn't for me. And during that phase of that summer work, it allows you to consider your options a little bit more. It'll allow you to come back in the summer with a clear picture of what you would like to study.